It's a new year, a new chapter full of hope, promise, opportunities, and dreams. I love the clean slate feeling at the beginning of a new year. It's all about looking forward. What it means for me is a new season of my podcast. Welcome to season 2 of the Wishing You Well podcast. I'm your host, health coach Maria Patrick. Together, we make the issues and the headlines of the day relatable to us, and they become a source for inspiration so that we can live our healthiest and best lives. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm coming to you from upstate New York in the United States, and I am so honored and grateful that my little podcast, my relatively new podcast, has listeners from across the globe, as far away from my microphone as Singapore, Australia, Thailand, Africa, the UK, and New Zealand. We are united together in bringing wellness into our lives. Today, we're going to talk about setting ourselves up to have a titanium year and finding inspiration from a recent newsmaker. In addition to January 1st being the kickoff of the new year, it was the 1-year anniversary of the American actor Jeremy Renner's snow plowing accident that nearly took his life. If you're not familiar with Jeremy's body of work, he received Academy Award nominations for his roles in the movies The Hurt Locker and The Town. And he's probably best known for playing the Marvel superhero Hawkeye. I have to admit that I am not familiar with the Marvel movies, but I'm very familiar with Jeremy Renner and this story of his terrible accident. It actually made him the #1 Googled actor in 2023. And I think it's an example of life imitating art, because he surely was a superhero last year when he was run over on January 1st in a snowstorm in Lake Tahoe, where he lives, by his 14,000-pound snowcat machine. He was trying to help his nephew get his stuck car out of the snow when the accident happened. In his attempt to prevent his nephew from getting hit by the snowplow, Jeremy ended up getting crushed and trapped underneath it himself. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition with blunt force trauma to his chest and over 35 broken bones throughout his body. He actually details that as he went on in his recovery, they kept finding more and more broken bones. He had a collapsed lung, he had a pierced liver. His road to recovery was a very long one, and it included everything from physical therapy, intravenous drips, peptide injections, cold plunges, hyperbaric oxygen and red light therapies, multiple surgeries, which involved rebuilding his rib cage with metal and inserting titanium rods into his legs. Several months after the accident, he was interviewed by Diane Sawyer, and he told her that he was willed to live and recover by the positive forces in his life, especially his daughter Ava. She's 10 years old. And the positive reinforcement and encouragement he got from his family, his friends, and his fans. His mom even sat vigil at his bedside, reading to him day and night in hope that her voice would be a source of comfort and strength. He said that he was rebuilt, refueled, and refilled by 2 things: love and titanium. Which brings us to this week in the news. In addition to going back last week to visit and pay honor and gratitude to the hospital workers who saved his life, Jeremy gave birth to his latest project, his first ever music album, and he decided to entitle it Love and Titanium. He produced the album, he co-wrote the songs, and he sings the songs. It was part of his journey to recovery this past year. He calls it the diary and narrative journal of his healing process. The first song is called Wait, and it was released on January 1st, on Monday. And the album represents the milestones in his recovery. It's going to premiere on January 19th. Jeremy said that creating the music was painful, but it was also very healing and cathartic. Jeremy said that the lyrics of his songs tell the story of life, death, recovery, and all of the important life lessons and things he learned along the way. If you follow him on social media, you probably already know that he's been documenting his progress throughout. And that includes video footage of him skipping up and running down his inclined driveway, and also the inspiring messages that he's received from his daughter Ava. Ava is featured in the video for the first released song from the album, the one I mentioned earlier, Wait. And he dedicates the whole album to her by calling his daughter my everything, my only thing, my number one. The lyrics of the song Wait are Jeremy talking to his daughter Ava about life and his recovery from pain and trauma. It goes a little bit like this. Maybe I'm uncomfortable, a little unpredictable. For whatever it's worth, I know that it hurts. You are the ocean and I am the earth. I am the needle and you are the thread. Will you wait for me now? If you wait and stay, you'll figure me out. I promise I'll get better with time. I promise I'll do my best to make it all right and be the one to kiss you goodnight forever. As if that's not enough to accomplish in 1 year, which was filled with his ultimate uphill climb, both literally and figuratively, Jeremy said that the reason he pushed himself so hard to recover was because he had been working on the show Renovations with Disney, and he didn't want to disappoint anyone by having to postpone its release. He set himself an intention to be able to walk the red carpet for the show's premiere, and thanks to his hard work and determination and pure grit, he was able to do so. I find so many aspects of Jeremy's story inspiring. While we might not be going through an extensive physical and mental recovery like his, we can take a lot from his sheer will and determination, the many hours of painful therapies, and the fact that he did his best to find inspiration around him to keep him feeling positive and moving forward. It certainly helps that he had a core system of support. In previous podcast episodes, I talked about the residents of the world's blue zones who live the longest, and one of the reasons they attribute it to is because they surround themselves with an uplifting network of people. Jeremy's daughter became his reason to not only live, but to survive and thrive, coming out even stronger on the other side, not just for himself, but for her. And he turned his turmoil into a message for others by putting pen to paper and writing that album of songs. I love the first song. It's beautiful. I'm going to listen to it whenever I need to be uplifted and reminded that someone is waiting for me too. Jeremy told Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen on New Year's Eve that he was able to get through it all because he had so many things to live for, and that his stubbornness made his recovery a one-way road which he was traveling for himself and his loved ones. He didn't think about his own anguish or his pain. Instead, he just focused on his mental attitude and getting better and sharing his life with those who stood by his side. His comeback was fueled by strength, resilience, and determination. He also recently said, and I really loved hearing this, that he eliminated all the unnecessary distractions from his life, and he now values his time more. He said, there's no fat in my life anymore. I don't have time for that. So there's something really beautiful about having that superpower. Speaking of superpowers, Jimmy Kimmel recently joked that we now know who the strongest and most powerful Avenger is, and that's the superhero, Jeremy Renner. Titanium and love. Doesn't that just say it all? Everything we need in those two words. Titanium is strong. It's durable. It's resistant to corrosion and high temperatures. It's bulletproof. It's what planes are made of. It's part of what makes up the Earth's crust. And it's what brought Jeremy Renner's legs back to life. It's impenetrable. How can we make ourselves as strong as titanium? I'm a big believer that we can do it through nutrition. I went back to school to learn how to help people do this, and it's my life's work, my mission. Like Jeremy, it's the passion project that keeps me going, and it gives me a reason to get out of bed every day. What will your comeback story be this year? There's that famous saying that a new year is a blank page of a 365-page book. It's up to each of us to write a good one. Stay tuned this year to my podcast, and I promise to help you to be as strong as titanium, to refill and refuel yourself to the point of being indestructible. Let's do it together. We are stronger and better when we are joined together. Thank you for choosing my podcast and for spending time listening. Your time and attention truly mean the world to me, and I hope you know I am forever grateful and inspired. And as always, I am wishing you well.